Hello, I'm Robin Vincent and welcome to my review of the Neutral Labs ELMYRA. This review comes to you on behalf of the SoundMit 2020, the Synth and Pedal Expo, and they've been kind enough to invite me along to review this strange and mystical noise-making drone machine. What is it? Well, it's a collection of circuits put together in order to create this sort of lush and crazy, distorted, feedbacked disaster of a drone synth. It's full of three 10-bit oscillators that crash and smash and fall apart and then pull themselves back together again and then become something else as it gets fed back and modulated and filtered and thrown back through itself, pushing itself all the way to the edge of destruction and then reeling itself back just when you thought it was all going to go pear-shaped. It's fun, it's involving, it's engaging, it takes you on a journey and nowhere near where you were planning to go or hoping to arrive, because that's really not the point. Point of this box is that you get stuck in. Now, the ELMYRA is based loosely upon the Lyra-8 from SOMA Labs. Lyra-8 is an 8-channel drone machine with all sorts of complex organismic stuff going on inside. This is simpler. This is 3 channels, but it's still trying to find that bizarre organic pathway from normality into dementia and back again. The ELMYRA is a digital analog hybrid. It has analog distortion built in while all of the brains and all the oscillators are coming out of a microprocessor inside. It's also a great deal cheaper than the Lyra-8, and you can build it yourself. If you want, you don't have to. But if you do want to, then I'd highly recommend checking out my build video of this, because this is the one that I made. And while I put it together, I videoed all of that to help you along on your building journey. Because although this is an ideal project for a beginner, if this is the first time you're building something, build this, because it's a lot of fun. There are some challenges, and so do go and check out my video just to get you over those first couple of hurdles. So without any further ado, let's get our fingers stuck in and work out exactly what it's supposed to do. So here we are. The layout is simple enough. You have 3 channels, 3 oscillators. They can be 2 different wave shapes, 2 different type of envelope, and you can tune them. You play them or trigger them or engage with them with these interesting pressure silver pad things. And then you have a delay circuit, you have some modulation, you have a filter, you've got crazy over here. And it's the interaction between those things that creates this sound, this noise, this adventure, this kind of car crash of oscillations and waveforms crashing into each other and forming new worlds, colliding, exploding, falling apart, and then refinding themselves never to quite be the same again. So let's just start off with something simple. I've got everything pretty much turned down. So you trigger or engage or, I don't know, give birth to your oscillation by putting your fingers on these 2 pads, and that completes the circuit and the sound then evolves. That's the plan, like this. Now I'm on a long envelope at the moment, so it's going to slowly come in. Now this is something like an approximation on a square wave, but as I bring up the pitch, that'll become a bit more obvious. Now there's already distortion in there. Distortion is present at all times. There's a lot more distortion you can add with this section over here, but there's always going to be calamity involved in every single waveform. There's also a triangle option, switching the switch, which is a bit triangularly. You can use a filter just to shave off some of those higher frequencies, or all of them of course, to smooth that waveform out a bit more. And then when I release, because I'm on a long envelope, it'll gradually find itself disappearing. Meanwhile, I could do something similar to this one here. Maybe this one here. And then maybe back to this one here. Maybe use two hands. The other envelope option gives a much shorter, more kind of instant envelope. But there's a third option. Because this is actually a drone synth, you can just turn on the drone. Find yourself just exploring. The delay becomes immediately useful. That's what it wants. It also wants reverb, which I haven't put on yet, but I will put on some in a bit, just so that you can experience how much it loves a good bit of reverb. But even just dry all by itself, it's creating some extraordinary noises. So as you put in the delay, The delay time goes from, you know, fairly short down to really, really short, which then seems to tumble it into some kind of digital nightmare. Which is a lot of fun. Which is a lot of fun. Pushing the feedback round starts to make it build upon itself and to give it just nowhere to go other than straight to hell. The next option is this mod wheel here. Now this introduces kind of random factors. It's less of a modulation and more of a variation, more of a movement, a destruction, a pushing of waveforms into something else. Down just to one oscillator. It starts off just as a mere wobble, a kind of an interference, you know, a data bending. And then it just starts to wobble out of existence. And then your final option is scratch here. Scratch is more distortion. There's already distortion there, you've heard it, it's there all the time. So if you want to introduce some more distortion, just dial it up. And that's been pushing our nice triangle wave into more of a square thing. See, that's nice, that's subtle. If I start with the square, it does some kind of weird foldingness. Alright, so far so pleasant. But then you've got this bite switch here, and that introduces a whole load of extra harmonics and frequencies that just sort of rip it apart. Now, if you're not so into the kind of the free flowing of voltage and pitch just pouring over themselves, you can engage a chromatic mode. With a double flip of the switch on channel 1, it now gives us a proper chromatic scale. Well, sort of. I mean, it's certainly there to some degree, and then at other points it's not entirely sure that it is. Now, you know, this isn't really designed, I don't think, for picking out perfect melodies, tunes, or even perfect notes. But certainly in chromatic mode you can go a bit further, it has a greater range, and has the opportunity to introduce a bit more chiptune kind of stuff. Let's bring that delay back in and see where it takes us. And at some point you just have to introduce some reverb. So I've got a bit over here. One more exciting possibility within the endless possibilities is that it has a sequencer. Now, I found this to be a little bit hit and miss. It's partly because it's probably me fudging it up, not quite getting the hang of it quite yet. But you can pull out 16 steps if you just get it right. The way you do it is by another quick double flap on this particular switch here on channel 3. That should put it into recording mode. with a bit of luck. And then anything which is on envelope position 2 can be recorded into a step. I'll try to do this in a straightforward way, just using channel 1 over here. So you go, that with a bit of luck should be a step. Find another point. That's another step. That's another one. And then you can put it out of record mode, put it into play mode with a double flap of channel 2 shape, and then put it into drone mode. And there are my 4 notes. Now that went remarkably well, I have to say. Now, because I had all of them set to position 2 on the envelope, set to record, I can no longer change the pitch of this channel or this channel. I can still bring it in and out, but as far as the sequencer was concerned, it was just recorded on the note that it was on. The other factor is now the speed of that sequence is now dictated by the time knob here. Now if I record another sequence and this time keep these 2 out of the way, I can then play along with the sequence that I create on this first channel. The point, I think, is that I could play with it for hours. You just get lost in it. It just becomes this cascade of lush, evolving sounds that surround you and penetrates you and takes you to another place. It's enormous fun. So much fun. And in some ways it has no purpose. I mean, what am I doing with it? What am I trying to achieve? And that is something that is so not important when playing with a drone machine, a noise machine, something of this evolutionarily backward nature. And so although I have no clue as to how to integrate this with anything else, I mean, it has no other ins and outs, there's no CV or MIDI or anything. It is exactly what it is and what it intends to be, which is this drone machine that you just fiddle with and you fiddle with, and you find yourself fiddling with some more, and then an hour's gone by and you're still fiddling with it because you're just, oh, and then you're going, oh, way over here, and then you start piling on the effects. I had a little bit of delay at one point, which took it to a whole other place. So adding a few other effects really brings more and more of it out of itself. Reverb, definitely a nice deep long reverb is definitely what it wants, definitely what it needs, but it doesn't have to. The delay that's built into it is pretty decent by itself and fun to play with. So as far as integration goes, it's easy to add to it. I'm not entirely sure how I would use it, but what I like is that I could have something else going on and I can just reach out, put a couple of fingers down, and it will start to bring in this tone, this noise, this buzz. And isn't that just wonderful? Just like that. And then it goes away. Is it done? I don't know that it is. Is it holding itself together? No, it certainly isn't. It's falling apart deliciously. And it always brings a smile to your face every time. Now you can get one built, ready-made for you for about $330, $340, whereas you can get the kit for more like 150 quid, which for my money is definitely worth it. I mean, 150 quid for something which sounds this awesome is brilliant. You've just got to put a little bit of soldering work into it, and it's not a difficult machine to solder. In fact, the PCB and the layout inside is brilliant. It just needs a little bit of help with the build guide in order to get beginners perhaps over the edge, but I can provide that if you check out my video on the build. No problem, and you'll have no problem in putting it together, and it's immensely satisfying to think that I built this thing. It adds a whole dimension and certainly makes it much better value for money. So there you go. I hope that was useful. Thank you, Neutral Labs, for sending it to me in order to do the build video and the review, and thank you to SoundMit for providing the platform on which this review exists. My name is Robin Vincent from Molten Modular and Molten Music Technology. Do go and check out more videos on my YouTube channel. In the meantime, go make some tunes or go make some noise.